What's going on, everybody? It's Kyle and Q here again with another episode of Burn the Ship, Louisiana, where we sit down and talk to people about their journeys, pursuing their passions, and just diving right into those endeavors. Today we have another special guest, Ms. Kris Barney.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for showing up. You are an advocate for D.A.R.T.
Yes.
Which stands for?
Domestic Abuse Resistance Team.
Awesome.
Yes.
So I'm just going to dive right into it. Why D.A.R.T? What's the passion behind diving in and being an advocate for such?
Well, to begin with, D.A.R.T served me about 23 years ago.
Okay.
They had just only been open, I think, about a year. And back in 1999, my ex-husband, who was an abuser, also murdered my 3-year-old daughter, Miranda. And my mother just happened to, find a women's counselor at D.A.R.T, Mrs. Rose Daigle, who I love still to this day. And Rose put me on a path of healing, and that's how my family found D.A.R.T. So after Miranda died, I had remarried an Air Force airman, and then we left the country and left actually Louisiana for like 18 years. And then he retired from the Air Force after 27 years of service. And we moved back to Louisiana in 2019. And gosh, in September of 2021, the executive director asked me to please come work for them. And the reason being is I've also been an advocate all these years, for 23 years, and I've spoken and shared my story all over the country.
Wow.
And so we decided to settle back in Louisiana because I'm going to tell you, Louisiana ranks right now number 5 in the nation for domestic homicide.
Ooh, wow.
When I moved back in 2019, we ranked number 2
Jeez.
in the nation. So I have come full circle, and fighting for women and children and their voices and being their voice has been my passion since Miranda died.
Sure. Wow. That's thank you for sharing that. That's heavy.
Right.
I don't even know how the right way to ask. How do you manage and bounce back? I mean, I don't know if you ever fully do. Like, what is that?
Well, people ask me. Yes. Well, people
to
ask me all the time. They ask me all the time, how do you survive something like this? And my answer is always, what choice did I have? I was left to navigate the rest of my life without my 3-year-old daughter. And my ex-husband was a Bossier City firefighter, paramedic. And all I knew to do is my family rallied around me. We rallied around each other because I had an amazing support system. Because a lot of victims of domestic abuse don't have a support system. Their abuser has isolated them from everyone that loves them and cares about them. But I didn't. I was very fortunate. And so we just threw ourselves into advocacy. And it helped us to heal. Now, you never heal from something like this. This is something that you learn to live with every day. But I also knew that I was never going to let Charles win. His name was Charles Sally Jr., by the way. And I knew that I was not going to let him have the last word because he also murdered his then ex-girlfriend, who was also trying to escape the same abuser.
Wow.
And the sad thing about this story, it's sad all the way around, but Michelle and I both had worked tirelessly to get restraining orders. I actually had Charles arrested and convicted of stalking. And he was still granted joint custody. And he was still able to keep his job. So Michelle and I did everything that was asked of us to protect ourselves. Because the burden of proof is always put on the victim. Sure. You have to prove that you are in danger or that your child is in danger or that you're scared for your life.
Right.
It took an enormous amount of effort to just get the information, the documentation for a judge to even look at a stalking conviction or trial. And Michelle never made it to that point. He killed her right after she had filed a restraining order and kicked him out of the house, wrote a letter to the fire chief. I have her letter and my letter that we wrote to the fire chief, begging him to please help us and begging him to hold Charles accountable for terrorizing, because not only did he terrorize us using the telephone, but stalking. He drove around in the Bossier City ambulance, stalking us, stalking me. I used to work at the Caddo Parish Courthouse, and he would sit right outside my window in the Bossier City ambulance. And his boss, or his partner, I'm sorry, never reported it, never said anything. So I could go on and on.
Yeah, that's so much to take in and unpack all at the same time. So obviously D.A.R.T is, I would assume, is an advocacy for and a resource for individuals in that situation.
Let me just brag on this organization, because we work tirelessly all the time, every day, to stand up for victims of domestic violence and to be their voices, to protect them, because our motto is keeping our families safe.
Sure.
And so we have a legal advocate that helps our victims navigate the justice system, because I'm going to tell you something. There's nothing more terrifying besides your abuser than going before an attorney and attorneys and judges and having to prove that you're terrified.
Right.
You have to go to court sometimes with your abuser.
Right.
So our legal advocate, she doesn't give legal advice. She helps navigate the system and file restraining orders. She can write up restraining orders, and she'll go to court with our victims. We also have an amazing women's counselor who, just like me, can go and talk about what's happening. She can help with trauma, just some therapy. We also have a children's advocate who is amazing, and she will get our kids together who have been displaced by domestic violence or in domestic violence situations, and open up the Bridge Community Church, the gym there, and the kids go Monday nights and just have a free for all.
Sure.
Just get to play.
Right.
They can be kids. They get to eat. They get to snack. They sometimes get to have supper, and they just get to be free and fear free for an hour and a half.
Sure.
And we love that. So Donna Bernard is our children's counselor. And then you have me and Miss Terry Queen Autry. We are the community advocates, and what we do is we go out into the community and we talk about D.A.R.T, we talk about domestic violence, and we educate.
Sure.
I just recently spoke to, I had the most amazing experience. I'm going to cry. I spoke to the baseball team at Louisiana Tech. They invited me to come speak, and I spoke to the baseball team, the boys, or the young men, sorry, the girls soccer team, and the golf team for the boys. And that was so amazing. Like, I shared my own story, I kind of condense it down.
Right.
And we talk about how you can be, even men can be victims of domestic violence, how you can be a solution, because we need our men to stand firm against domestic violence, and because we women can't do it alone. We need men and our boys to stand firm against it and speak out about it.
Sure.
Speak out against it. So I had the most amazing experience speaking to Louisiana Tech's sports kids, and it was the highlight of my month, actually.
Awesome.
Because they were so incredibly loving and kind and focused. Engaged. And, sometimes when you're speaking to a room full of boys, young men, you don't really know what to expect. There was not a phone to be seen.
That's impressive.
And I walked that room.
Right.
So I was so impressed with them.
That's awesome.
And I let everybody know about it too. I was like, they are amazing. So I speak all the time on domestic and D.A.R.T. Okay, so we have the community advocate. That would be me. Sorry, I digress. Me and Terry Queen Autry, and so we go out and educate. So that would be, we have Miss Wanda, our legal advocate. We have Erica McFarland, our women's advocate. Miss Donna Bernard, our children's advocate, and me and Terry, the community advocates. And everything at D.A.R.T is free and confidential. We never charge anybody for anything. We are there to help women and children who are escaping abusive relationships find safety. We have an amazing shelter. There's an emergency shelter 24/7. So if someone calls us and say, I need to leave now, we give them the number to call the shelter, and our shelter advocates help them get there safely. And we are able to help them get back on their feet, help them with their children. It's just amazing.
Yeah,
I can't say enough
you
nice
glow
things.
of your passion for it. Just, you can see it glowing through.
But they
That's
helped
incredible.
me. They helped me, because I'm going to tell you guys, I could have taken a very different path.
Sure.
A lot of women, regardless of their situation, they don't even have to lose a child. They can take a very sinister path, and their healing is stunted, but I just could not let Miranda die in vain. I could not let Miranda die, and all of the other countless women,
right.
Also, Cassie Carley, whose body was just found in Florida, been following her story. I just can't not speak out and be their voice.
Sure.
Right.
And so I promised Miranda and Michelle that I was going to be their voice and share this story until my very last breath.
Sure.
Not only because Michelle and I so desperately did everything that was asked of us. We got no help. And Michelle left behind 2 young daughters.
Oh, wow.
She didn't leave behind. They were taken from her. Her life was taken. And so she had 2 young daughters that had to grow up without their mom.
Right.
And so I'm just going to, I'm going to, as a matter of fact, today, guys, when I leave you, I'm going to speak for the Attorney General's office.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I speak tomorrow, sharing my story, because they're doing a firearms divestiture training. This is what I do. I also travel and speak at trainings and share my story of how Charles did what he did and filing restraint, my whole entire story, and how I fought to get help for Miranda and I. And so that's
incredible.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
I wanted to do good. I wanted to do good.
Sure.
Didn't want to go down a dark path and
which is easy to do. We obviously totally different lane, but there's a lot of similarities. We talk to a lot of small business owners, and we talk about the grind it is.
Yes.
And it's very easy from especially mental and emotional perspective to let it burn you out. And you take, I even, and it wasn't even when the business was involved, but just going that kind of darker route versus just taking a step back and saying, like you said, you have no choice but to continue to move forward.
Right.
And so, there's a lot a lot to take away from that, just in general. That's
and during COVID, when you're,
oh gosh, yeah.
I mean, when you are in seclusion with your abuser,
yeah, I can imagine.
The amount of domestic violence calls and incidences increase.
I was about to ask.
Crazy. And there's nothing more, because sometimes women get to leave to go to work just to get away.
Right.
And I can sit here all day long and talk about red flags and why do women stay, but that would be another show for another day.
Right.
So.
And kids with school. School is their escape.
Yes, that is their escape.
So obviously some kids, but that is their escape.
Yes.
So having that structure and positivity,
and some freedom to be away from their abuser.
So what would you, first I want to say thank you for all that you do, because I work in union with Miss Jackie a lot up there, and I know what y'all have to go through and the big thing about getting the word out. So what would you, if there's someone right now in that situation, what words of encouragement and direction would you give them?
My first words of encouragement would be, because this is my motto, there is always hope for a brighter future. And I am a testament to that. My advice would be that you are not alone. There is no shame in what you're putting up with or going through.
Right.
There is no shame. And at our office, if anyone were to want to escape or to get away, they can call our office and we can help them safety plan. We can help them escape and give them ideas on how to do it safely.
Right.
But there's always hope after tragedy, and it's not the end of your life. Is it hard sometimes to escape and get away and to yes, it is, but there's so much joy and freedom in that, and feeling that freedom.
Sure.
Right.
You know? So hope. There's hope. Always.
Right.
And if somebody wanted to get in touch with D.A.R.T, what do you guys have? Facebook, website?
We have Facebook, we have website, we have
phone number
318-513-9373. Okay. We also have our 24 hours, 7 day a week, hotline. Our shelter is 24/7. There's tons of ways to get in touch with us.
And we can all add all that information to the in the subhead.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I just kind of maybe I'll kind of wrap up or towards the wrap up.
Sure.
What has been the most challenging and what has been the most fulfilling part of just whether it be the journey or your involvement with D.A.R.T? And
I want to tell you that the most fulfilling are the countless amounts of private messages I get, because I'm very big on social media. I'm very big on Facebook and Instagram, and I get private messages from all over the country of what do I do? How can I escape? How can you help me? And I answer every single one.
Yeah.
I never let anyone slide by me.
Right.
And what's challenging is, to me, in this line of work, convincing people that domestic violence just is not physical violence.
Right.
My ex-husband never laid a hand on me or Michelle or Miranda. His was mental and emotional abuse and stalking and threatening and planting that seed of fear.
Right.
You don't have to hit someone for it to be abuse.
Right.
And that's a challenge, because a lot of people think, well, he never hit her.
Right. Right.
So it's still abuse, verbal abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse in marriages as well. There's all kinds of different, which is what I do. I go out and educate everyone on the different aspects of domestic violence. So. Sure.
I definitely got education out of just having this conversation. It's very enlightening. Again, appreciate you taking that time to just divulge some heavy stuff, and being very vulnerable and open with that. So that's
wow, this has been amazing. So thank you for having me. I deeply appreciate it so much.
Like I said, we'll definitely add information.
Okay.
For somebody. Now, you guys just Louisiana, North Louisiana?
We serve 7 parishes.
Okay.
And do you want me to name those?
Sure, if you want.
Okay. We serve Bienville, Claiborne, Lincoln, Grant, Jackson, Union, Webster?
I don't think so. Webster.
Maybe not Webster. Anyway, they're in there.
Okay, right. We'll add it on there. So.
Yeah, I just started in September.
Oh, wow.
So okay. I finally got the phone number.
That's awesome. So, I would have never guessed that. That's awesome.
Grant, Union, Jackson. Yeah, so.
Cool. We can add all that information there for you. Well,
thank you again.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks
You're
for
a blessing
having me.
For the community, so we appreciate you taking this on.
Yeah.
Thank you. I am loving this community. So
awesome. Lucky to have you in it.
All right.
Thanks, guys. We'll catch you on the flip side.